Hello and welcome to the Monster Sanctuary Tournament circuit. Today we're going to be casting the second round match of the losers bracket of the Underpowered Tournament. I'm Marshcat.
And I'm Hreg. Today we're going to be looking at the match between Gameslayer and SwampyDragon.
There seems to be quite a lot of different teams here, with SwampyDragon having a Dragon Buffs team with Dracozul as a restricted monster, Blob debuff team with Tarblob as a restricted monster, and Bleastall team with Spinner as a restricted monster.
Yes, and this first match looks like, for SwampyDragon's side, he has Tarblob as his restricted monster in a slime tribal, where Gameslayer has a spirit with a little bit of barrier, with Spectral Lion as the restricted mon. So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah. It's quite striking that Molebear has Wonder Potion here, and then Psycho Phantom also has Restore, so it might be good against all the debuffs that are spread. But a good thing about the Blob team is that whenever debuff damage is taken, it often applies more debuffs on top of it. For example, with, well, Plague on Blob, which is really good to take out here from Gameslayer.
Well, speaking of Plague on Blob, it looks like he no longer has that, with Spectral Wolf being able to get that kill, even with just full defense, not even a full offense.
Yeah, and now it seems that SwampyDragon has to switch to one of the Deathblow DPSs in the back. And it looks like they're going with Rainbow Blob.
One good thing to note here is that while Gameslayer has a lot of debuff restoration on his team, utilizing Deathblow, as long as you're able to get enough debuffs on within your action, you won't necessarily need those debuffs to stay, as long as you can have them during your attack. So
oh yeah, definitely.
Not doing a whole lot. But the debuffs chipping down.
If those debuffs aren't cleared, that means that the other Deathblow mons will end up doing quite a lot of damage, and all of them tend to have AoEs, so it could potentially be like a team wipe if Gameslayer isn't careful.
Right. And it looks like, unless Rainbow Blob stays alive for another several turns, he doesn't have access to another Cataclysm, and because Gameslayer doesn't have a shared weakness between his three mons, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to get a team wipe. I know Troll is really strong, so we'll see. Lead not able to take out Tarblob. Yeah,
that is quite good for SwampyDragon here, because Tarblob is a really key monster due to having things like Blood Drive and Multi-Burn and Multi-Poison. It just ends up contributing so much to the debuff damage.
Yeah.
It also has Restoration to deal with some of those applied debuffs. Although choosing not to remove the weakness stack on Rainbow Blob, it seems like.
Right.
And in terms of other things, Rainbow Blob was given Phoenix Affinity recently, so it's actually not that likely that the Wolf can take it out in one turn here without maybe Icy Spears, but it isn't a super effective attack, so
yeah,
it might be difficult to take out that.
On top of it being full shielded and seeing Tarblob being a very important mon, having weakness, everything, I mean, it just looks like Tarblob is a lot more of a favorable target, and as we see, taking it out this time.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to take out Tarblob there, since now SwampyDragon is stuck with one support and two DPSs, which Boulder Toss is good in this case, but there's always Molebear Taunt, which makes it a lot less inconsistent in terms of this matchup.
Yeah. We'll see if Molebear Taunt is into play here.
Looks like maybe we're going to take out Molebear, just to not deal with that. Although, if Molebear goes down, the benefit of this team is that Frosty is so good in coming in and applying extra debuffs on that wolf, so it might end up being detrimental.
Yeah. The full offense with Buff Mastery is definitely going to do a lot for his damage, maybe even being able to take out the Rainbow Blob this turn, bleed.
Possibly, and also, yeah, depending on what AoE attacks Gameslayer is running, it might potentially be enough to maybe break Phoenix Affinity and take down the Troll.
Oh right, if he's using Gravity. Oh.
barely doesn't get a kill on anything. And now Rainbow Blob is back to Cataclysm. Well, that King Blob is suffering quite a lot from its 4 chill stacks, as it's weak to debuff, so the chill stacks end up draining even more mana than they would on any other monster.
Going to try to restore some of those. Not getting any Purify on his 2 DPS. We'll see if that changes anything.
Might impact that Boulder Toss specifically if SwampyDragon was deciding to go for that, but
yeah, it doesn't look like Boulder Toss is. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's showing enough damage to get any kills or good damage. Frosty coming out with more barrier, or at least Spirit. What is it? Spirit Mastery? Spirit something? Increases the power of debuffs on spirits, so those 6 barrier on Spectral Wolf are really keeping it alive here.
Oh yeah, most certainly. It looks like probably Spectral Wolf is not going to go down this game. It's looking very much in Gameslayer's favor.
Yeah, and the longer it's alive, the more it's getting Primal Rage, and the more it's just going to be dominant.
Now that Lava Blob is out, it's also quite squishy, so I don't see how it would live another turn, especially from Icy Spears.
Yeah, and I definitely don't see it being able to do enough damage to any of the mons currently out there, even with no debuffs on it.
That early weakness stack on Rainbow Blob has been really unfortunate from SwampyDragon. I believe it's from one of Psycho Phantoms that applies debuffs on Blind, and it just has been sticking around for quite a while.
Yeah, it's been a lot of damage that he's missing out on just because of that one debuff at the start. And no good way to restore it unless he had used Hard Blob or King Blob to restore it directly.
Yeah, Gameslayer has been putting on a lot of pressure, so it may be that it's a difficult choice to make to remove that weakness rather than healing a monster up to full.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like probably at least Lava Blob is going to go down here, and this game is probably over. Yes.
Yep.
Time to place. It's a good time to discuss some of the potential other auras here, and
this Blob team not able to really survive enough against Spectral Wolf with this amount of power, as well as not being able to have a lot of damage just due to the restoration and direct barrier.
Yeah.
Kind of not really allowing him any room to do a lot.
Yeah, then also another key factor of getting Blob out so early means that the debuffs weren't really able to be spread as much before the Deathblow mons came in, because Blob tends to be the monster which applies the most debuffs on this kind of core due to having Curse Chain. So taking it down early is definitely a good decision on Gameslayer's part.
Yeah, and especially since he does a lot of poison and armor break, that would have helped a lot in taking down the Wolf, especially with the Earth weakness.
This trying to stall it out a little bit longer, maybe seeing how perhaps the mana regen costs here.
Yeah. Looks like this team, the Spirit team's probably going to do better in the late game than this team.
Yeah, definitely. Once the barrier's built up, it's so incredibly difficult to take down. Even with the double dodge buffs, it's very difficult to take down that wolf.
Yeah. Alright, well, first match went to Gameslayer. cannot use that team. So we'll see what other teams he has in store. See if SwampyDragon can get a win with the Blob team later on.
Seems there's going to be a matchup of dragons against sorcery here, and SwampyDragon is going to go first. SwampyDragon was initially lower seed, so that's why Gameslayer got to go first in the first game.
Right. Alright, so it looks like this sorcery team's pretty interesting, where it has a bit of debuff synergy as well, with shock and burn, as well as a lot of charge. So we'll see if SwampyDragon is able to get a kill with either Ninki or Ninki Nanka's Mud Cannon here. Which it looks like he will, unless it gets dodged a lot by that 26 natural dodge, or the dodge that came out.
Ninki is definitely a beast here. That was it was good rolls on Enlightened as well from the Snow Veil, spreading all the barrier onto Ninki and Ninki Nanka. It's a really good core to have. It just spreads so many debuffs of Dragon Mastery, and then also so many different buffs.
Yeah, the core of 3, Dracozul, Ninki, and Ninki Nanka have been very popular and very strong in this tournament, as well as other tournaments, even not in the underpowered format.
Yeah, even without having Dracomer, which it would be usually in this Dragon team, it seems that Dragons have still stayed quite strong with Dracozul, and even while it being restricted.
Yeah, it goes to show how strong Dragons are, even just without one of their best passives. Looks like Ninki Nanka is able to go down, but Ninki is still very strong, and with Aqua Blast, see if it'll be able to get the kill on Magmamoth, or go for the kill on oh yeah,
take down anything here.
Looks like he'll get his choice.
Now that Dracozul has quite a few buffs from Draconov, it can actually flex DPS here, and build quite a lot of combo to 37 there.
Going for the Magmamoth here, it looks like Gameslayer will have an opportunity to try to use Glowfly with his almost 50 charge stacks now, though he does have a weakness stack. So we'll see how much damage. Or he just goes for another buff.
Makes a lot of sense to take take down Magmamoth there, since it's primarily the only hybrid attacker on the sorcery team. Although Promethean can use Heavy Punch in certain cases, it might not be good enough against.
Just barely not able to get a kill.
In terms of Promethean, it can actually have really misleading previews when you attack with Thunder. Well, it looks like it's a full preview, but then it doesn't kill.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those that breaks a lot of players into thinking that they're going to get a kill.
Potentially really good AoE here.
Force of Nature looks like it might be able to get 2 kills if he gets a little bit lucky on some of those hits.
Looking at the crit rate. Smart choice.
Going for the single target.
Potentially that Glowfly can now DPS quite well, although there might be some resistances here due to dragons generally being weak to physical attacks and Glowfly being a magic attacker.
It looks like Megarasaur not being able to get rid of all of the weakness on its DPS, but they do have lots of charge, so we'll see if that's able to take care of the main threat. So it looks like he's still stacking up charge on Glowfly. Probably didn't see good enough damage prediction. We'll see how much damage this.
Having Dark Glowfly as a support is a really interesting choice, because usually you either see it as a light shift support or a dark shift DPS, and here it seems to be a flex DPS. Although it doesn't seem to have picked up any kills yet, it might potentially be better in a different matchup.
And Scorch does have Revive here, so it does definitely need to be targeted down, either first or after he kills Glowfly once, just to get rid of that. It looks like he goes for Force of Nature. is able to pick up the kill on Glowfly.
It does force Glowfly to reset all the charge stacks, although maybe taking down the Scorch would have been a better decision.
Yeah, Glowfly does have Restore, so he'll be able to try to get rid of that weakness, which he does. And this might be able to get the kill on Ninky now that he doesn't have weakness. And he is.
A lot of charge stacks on that Promethean. It might potentially be really good here. Although, against Glowdra specifically, I'm not sure if it would be able to take it down with Thunder Strike.
Glowdra looking like a hero or Dark Shift DPS. Pretty good damage predictions. Probably is going to pick up a kill on Scorch with Solar Burst, trying to hopefully take down the Glowfly. Some extra hits.
Might be able to...
Ooh. Really might be able to rely on just having the... or not, just going for Solar Burst scenes.
Oh, yeah. The problem with Burn. It has such high stats in terms of attack and magic that it takes a lot of burn damage despite not being weak to fire.
Yeah. And Charged Rebirth, while not as good as... well, it's not as good as Phoenix Affinity because it resets all of his charge, which is very important to him, so he won't be able to have Supercharged. Because he does use Heavy Punch there, so it didn't really... other than just the charge themselves, didn't really subtract much.
Looks like Swampy is definitely in the driver's seat here, and Solar Burst or Void Flare should be.
Especially with Scorch in the back, even if he loses Glowdra as his main DPS, Scorch will be able to make Dracozul do enough damage to kill anything at once, and have Revive.
Looks like SwampyDragon takes game 2, and it's going to be 1-1 now.
Alright. Got the Sorcery and the Spirit team locked out.
Looks like Blobs versus Sorcery here.
Dragon's team is locked out, not Sorcery. I'm back on the Blobs team. Going back to Promethean being weak to Burn. This team does have Burn, so we'll see if that comes into play.
Definitely difficult to lead something as Swampy here because Gameslayer's team is so fast that it will likely take down at least a single monster just coming out. Although the initial weakness proc from King Blob onto the Magnum Off might really matter here. Otherwise, I don't know if this Blob is going to live.
Ooh. Oh, just barely. That's a huge thing. A Blob living.
Oh
that
yes.
Poison will be definitely important for all three of the poison weak mobs in the team of Beetloid, Glowdra, and the little Glowdra. I forgot his name.
Glowfly.
Glowfly. Yep. Replenish, going for some healing, with good shields all around.
That does make me wonder if leading Blob. It was a very risky play there since it's so important in this matchup, but it might end up paying off hugely here. As now it's just 4 poison stacks on everything, and that feeds into Blood Drive as well. And it's going to be a lot more difficult to take down that Blob now. It has full shield and a barrier.
Yeah, and then with Harblock now being able to apply more debuffs on the bleed application from all the poisons and the burns, it's going to ramp up fairly quickly. We'll see if Glowfly's charge is going to make a difference here in being able to kill Blob at some point, or saving it until Rainbow Blob. We'll see.
Now that all the debuffs are building up, it's going to be an uphill battle for Gameslayer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a lot of debuffs. Clearing some debuffs off of King Blob.
Lots of damage with the debuffs, but it's also lots of damage on those bleed stacks. So unless those are purified, those are going to do a lot of damage in the upcoming turn as well.
Looks like Gameslayer doesn't have a source of Purify, unfortunately, so it looks like probably one more turn will be able to take down at least Beetloid from what we saw last turn, potentially more. It's like a little bit of a limitation of this sort of team where, although it can, for example, clear debuffs of electrolytes from Beetloid, it doesn't necessarily have bleed removal.
It's part of what makes Tarblob so good as his restricted mod, where having part of his damage saved as bleed damage really allows him to punch through a lot of things that he wasn't able to in the previous turns, instead of just being stalled out at just barely not enough damage to kill.
Oh, there's almost full sleep, but Magmoth hangs on by a thread.
I'll see how much Scorch is able to restore that Magma in the fighting power. Not getting rid of the weakness.
Potentially, Glodra will be really good here with dealing with a blob, but if it has Slime Skin as well, it might actually be risky to attack into it.
And a lot of damage. Blob. Wouldn't be surprised if I saw a Thunderstorm here, able to take out Blob and do some damage to the other mods as well. Yep.
Looks like that's right. Not sure which DPS is best here. Maybe
I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the Rainbow Blob for his just coverage, being able to take out the Glodra, and then possibly the Promethean if he survives.
That's true. I'm not sure if Phoenix Affinity would save Rainbow Blob here. Magma Moth can actually kill through it due to burn. Without those regions might matter. With King Blob having Mass Mystify, it ends up stacking triple regen on quite a lot of things.
Yeah. Looks like it's not able to get any direct kills, but Cataclysm will be able to find more debuffs.
All those auras.
Not quite.
Flying tons of. Yeah, go ahead.
The bleed now 8 stacks on Magma Moth, may be able to take him out next turn, but we'll see how much she's able to restore the debuffs or.
He doesn't kill. Well, the burn might.
You go. 2 stacks of burn might be really important.
Void Flare, just to apply a couple more. Oh yeah, the regens ended up saving Rainbow Blob there.
Yeah, its resistance to burn really doing a lot for it there. We'll see if he's able to take out anything though. Doesn't look like his Rainbow Blob is built for as much damage as you'd usually see, but trying to survive more hits and just apply more debuffs.
Applying that burn onto Scorch might, yeah, it ends up making Lava Rush a lot stronger, and this is a crit Rainbow Blob, so it should do, yeah.
Oh yeah, full crit is going to do a lot.
Potentially that burn did matter due to it. For Lava Rush, if there's a burn on the target, it ends up reducing the defense of what you're attacking.
Yeah. And attacking Scorch there, getting able to get that kill is definitely a very, very big thing, if not the game decider there, with Scorch being his last direct buffer, as well as revive and a lot of important damage passives. Doesn't look like he'll be able to do a whole lot of damage, even if he is able to take care of the Rainbow Blob this turn.
I don't see this Magma Mob being able to take down either of the supports there with full shield.
They tend to be very HP heavy, and being full shielded, that means they have lots of total hit points, close to 20,000 on either of them.
Yeah, Overheal is great for that reason for Tarblob, since it allows King Blob and then all the supports to build up to full shield almost every turn.
Yeah.
Looks like Troll can take down whatever here. Probably over at this point.
Certainly. There's very little Gameslayer can do at this point to pick up enough momentum now that Scorch is dead.
Opting to take down the Magmamoth. Very reasonable here.
Burn damage doing a lot on the Promethean, just because of it. As soon as it reaches 15 or more charge stacks, it will begin taking a very large amount of burn damage, just because the burn damage takes from its higher attacking stat, and when its attack stat gets added onto its magic stat, it immediately starts taking a lot more burn damage.
Definitely, and then with auras like Fatal Upkeep from King Blob, it ends up being quite overwhelming, and the Blood Drives takes from the debuff damage, so the bleed stacks end up being quite a lot of extra damage rather than just regular, or for a monster which doesn't have high attack or magic stat.
Yep. The SwampyDragon takes game 2, or game 3, which puts him up to 2 wins.
Taking down the sorcery team with a blob team, having with a second turn is quite great for SwampyDragon here.
Yeah. Looks like we're seeing a bleed team, a beast blade team. Maybe a little bit of stall with well, maybe. It depends on the builds that we see. But we'll have Molebear and Rathops applying bleeds passively to the whole team.
It looks like some kind of skirmish team, which is a unique it's an aura on Rathops, which applies a bleed equal to 5% of a monster's health, which is quite good when Rathops has like 9,000 health.
Yeah, and Molebear. Looks like that Solar Burst able to take down Nightwing with the help of a burn stack. We'll see.
Not
good.
Yeah, not able to dodge quite as much as it usually does because it doesn't have the dodge buff set up quite yet.
Yeah. Like we see 3 instances of bleed out in SwampyDragon's team. See if Gameslayer try to take care of all 3 of those. He's going to try to directly try to get rid of his main source of bleed.
It's definitely an interesting matchup here because although a Gameslayer doesn't necessarily have that much bleed removal, or any bleed removal for that matter, without Purifying Maces, it has the sorcery team can have a lot of good attacks into monsters like Wrap-Ups and Spinner here.
Spinner not being able to do a whole lot of damage that turn without having buffs. We'll see if it's able to survive. Looks like we do see Glowfly. It misses all 3 hits on Spinner, but it is still able to take out Molebear, which is very interesting to see.
Looks like bringing us to try to potentially heal up that Spinner a bit to try to make it do damage. SwampyDragon is quite on the back foot now and no longer able to stack triple barrier on Mons due to not having Molebear.
Sutune does have a number of buffing passives, but without directly full heal, it's not very consistent at being able to buff. So full heal off the Spinner would be a lot for Spinner's damage, but is not going to be able to heal or restore Rathops in any way. So we'll see if that's going to work out. Going for the Glowfly here, getting
triple hit the crits and then no dodges is quite a lot of bleed damage.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if that Rathops will be able to survive another turn.
I'll see if he gets targeted down here. If they target Spinner and he doesn't die, just from dodging a bunch of hits, we'll see if he goes for an AoE and attempts to kill Rathops, or just goes for a double single on Spinner here. We'll see what happens. Oh. Goes for the air signal.
That did spread quite a few sorcery stacks onto the Glodra here. And with 26 charge stacks, it might be able to single target down anything here.
Goes for the Sutsune, which, while doesn't necessarily need the bleed out anymore because he has Spinner, does lose his source of buffs for Manticorp, so now Manticorp's damage won't be as great. Though Cataclysm will be able to, or just any move really, with Proliferates, build some combo for Spinner, who still has his buffs. We'll see if that's able to get hopefully multiple kills, at least hopefully for him.
It's like big bleed numbers already, so it could potentially, with 32 charge stacks on Spinner, Sticky Web could potentially wipe the whole team. Mm-hmm. And the
I actually think
pretty good.
I actually think wiping the whole team here would be bad, because Splatter wouldn't be able to go onto the other two monsters. Whereas if he's able to kill two, that Splatter's able to stay, or the bleed stacks are able to stay around. Because if the team wipe happens here, the Scorch will be able to come out and revive his third mon, and he'll have essentially no bleed across his whole team, and he'll probably be able to get a kill somewhere.
Yeah, looks like, I'm not sure what would have been the best option in terms of single targets there either. I'm not sure that Rathalos would be able to survive anyways, especially with Promethean being as strong as it is.
Yeah.
Opting to kill a Spinner.
Rathalos barely surviving off the debuff in that. But we'll see. Manticore is going to be able to kill anything. I mean, I think no matter who he kills, even if he was able to get a single target kill, would stop him from losing this round, now that Spinner's dead.
Yeah, definitely. And without any sorcery, I'm not even sure if it could take down that Scorch.
Mm-hmm. Looks like even if he had level 5. Even if he had level 5 Ignite, I don't think it would be able to take down the Scorch unless it got some good crits and debuff procs.
It looks like Gameslayer will probably be able to round it out this round. This round.
Yeah. Spinner doing a lot for SwampyDragon here. Even if the bad start put him in a bad spot, he was able to bring it back at least a bit with Spinner.
Manticore barely hanging by a thread, but at this point, it is over.
Yeah. Well, that Gameslayer winning round 4. So we are now 2-2, I think.
Yeah, going into game 5. And we get to see the charge buffs teams from Gameslayer.
Yep. Gameslayer's team looks like standard formatted team with just shielders, healers, and buffers. Not going for any crazy or specific synergies with tribals or anything like that. Just going for just charge as his main thing, and then relying on things like full protect and full offense to bring him through.
Power focus could potentially be really good on Brutus here, unless it's taken down really early. So, going first for Swampy is definitely good here, just to be able to set up, unlike the last game where there wasn't enough time to set up the triple barriers on everything.
Something about Gameslayer's lead here that's important is that it doesn't have a way of dealing with Protect very well, unless the Spectral Toad decided to have Poison Eater, which even then I think would be less valuable than something like Full Offense, so it doesn't look like Brutus is going to be able to kill, or at least a single target attack, on who he wants, so we might see a Power Focus going into an AoE. Okay.
Decides to opt to take down the spinner as soon as possible, potentially due to having Dark Shroud, which could be quite good attacking into Brutus to prevent an AoE wipe.
Brutus there having Sure Strike, enabling it to do lots of damage, not worrying about the dodge chance on spinner there. So even it'll take out even no buffs.
Though it did risk a crit there and a taunt from Molebear, so I feel like it is quite a risky strategy to try to take down Spinner, although it does look like it paid off.
Yeah, seeing as how much damage Spinner did last round, it's definitely a good idea to try to get him out as early as you can.
I think to note that Gameslayer did here is put on Purifying Mace on the Targo, and it looks like the Toad as well, if I'm not mistaken. Which is definitely quite good to deal with the skirmish. And when you know you have one team left to deal with, you can make adjustments such as this in order to try to make your.
Yep. We'll see if Brutus goes for an AoE or a Power Focus here, or yep.
I think they heal the Targo.
I think he definitely wants Brutus to survive here. So he wants Targo to be alive for a couple more turns.
That was potentially a really risky play to heal Targo there, because now that Brutus has Power Focus, but it doesn't have any defensive buffs. And with full offense from Toad, it may have gained a couple, but it will certainly be more tanky. And it looks like Swampy is going to go for a kill here.
See, with crits and bleed, I feel that he's able to take it out. Ooh, yep.
No taunt. No taunt from Toad, and that is having Icy Shots level 5 actually was really good there for Swampy to try to build up some combos to break that protect.
I was expecting Molebear to use Improved Attack to do that, because I did see that he had that, but Thanatos being able to build more combo with Icy Shots probably made the difference there. We'll see if Blade Widow is able to get a kill here, because Blade Widow, when he gets a kill, is able to get a lot of his charge back as well as a lot of buffs. So he's able to gain a lot of momentum. We'll see if he's able to do that.
Molebear using a potion there, it looks like the previews weren't good enough on wrap-ups. Although, now that Swampy has triple barrier on everything, this is looking like they're going to be able to build a lot of bleed and not lose monsters very easily.
So I do know Nightwing is very squishy and very reliant on dodge, which Blade Widow is able to take advantage of with Leaf Slash. So we'll see if he's able to, if he goes through the Protect with Toad again here, tries to get the kill on Nightwing.
Despite Nightwing being quite squishy, when it has that much shield and barrier, it's going to be interesting to see if the Toad barely lives.
Yeah, Gameslayer not looking the greatest here in terms of surviving. Even with those two Purifying Mazes, the direct damage with Nightwing now that he's been here for a couple of turns is just getting him to be a lot.
Looks like probably Gameslayer will have to sacrifice Cargo and the Toad here for Blade Widow. Maybe break to protect, possibly as well.
I do think, yeah, Bubble Burst. Alright. So he does, you think he's gonna go for Leaf Slash. It is able to kill.
No Molebear taunt, unfortunately, although now,
Yeah, I
SwampyDragon
expect
doesn't opts to take out Magikarp even if it doesn't have bleed out, as there's so much bleed on the field already that it would probably wipe with Cataclysm here.
Yeah, I think as long as he's able to take out the Targoat this turn, I think Splatter will put enough bleed on Blade Widow to take it out. I definitely expect a full team wipe here.
Yeah, opting not to use full protect and instead going for Cataclysm. I mean, definitely with Target or Toad dying here, the Splatter should be able to take down the Blade Widow.
And Cataclysm is actually deceptively good at taking out Targoat just because the Earth attacks are, because they're the last, they get a large bonus from Cascade. So, and because Targoat is weak to that, does a little bit more damage than because when you look at it, it shows that it's resisted, but because it is weak to that final hit, it does a lot more damage.
The Mole Bear finally decided to taunt, and that is probably going to close out this game.
Yeah.
Unless Asura is able to potentially build up a lot of buffs here.
Yeah, now that Manticore is still alive, I think he'll be able to kill the Asura here with Freeze, and then the bleed will go through its Phoenix Affinity.
It looks like SwampyDragon wins this 3-2.
Very close game. Very long set. It goes to game 5. Yeah.
Yeah, some really close games there. Particularly, I think a key moment there was not being able to take out the Blob with Magma Moth on turn 1.
Yeah, winning that game on using his second turn was very important in the flow of the set there. Definitely meant a lot.
There's some very different and interesting teams from both players, and very close game. So props to both players. I think their teams are really good.
Yeah, and making it in the top cut and getting this far is already very good. And those teams were it was a very close game.
Definitely, and seeing some quite rare restricted mods such as I don't think Spectral Lion or even maybe Tarblob was used more than once, but they're quite they weren't chosen as much as potentially some of the other ones.
Yeah, I know I had Tarblob, but I didn't even make it to top cuts, so his team was certainly better than mine.